The last piece of track was laid down. The workmen cheered. Duck and Oliver tooted their whistles excitedly, and Toad was very excited. The Little Western Branchline was finished. Thomas and Friends, Wooden Railway Originals, Episode 38, A Great Western Surprise. Spring had arrived on the island of Sodor. The Flying Scotsman was visiting on the island, so Topham Hatt contacted the Flying Scotsman's controller on the British Railway to see how long the Flying Scotsman could stay. The Flying Scotsman controller said that the Flying Scotsman could stay there for as long as he wanted. Gordon and all the other engines were excited. One morning, some of the engines on the island had gathered in the Tidmouth yard, which most of them never knew was there. Holly, Austin, Donald, Douglas, BoCo, Percy, Thomas, Toby, and Edward were there. "What are we all doing here?" Donald asked. "Yeah, that's what I want to know," Douglas said. "We're all here because Oliver and Duck wanted us to gather here." "They said they have a really big announcement to make," Holly said. Then just at that moment, Oliver, Duck, and Toad arrived. BoCo moved back so Duck could have room to get in. But then he disappeared, along with the coaches that were behind him. "What was that?" Donald said. "I don't know," said Douglas. "I'll go get him," Austin said, as he moved from his shed and back down onto the line that BoCo was on, and went into the buffers. And he too disappeared. "Where did Austin go?" Duck asked. "Oh, he'll be back in a few minutes. Don't worry," Holly said. "What do you mean, don't worry? BoCo, 2 coaches, and Austin disappeared into a set of buffers," Edward said. "Now that's just weird," Thomas said. Percy, Toby, and Holly looked off into space, trying not to make any eye contact with the other engines. Pretty soon, Austin reappeared with BoCo, the coaches, and Lady. All the engines were surprised. "Where did she come from?" Donald asked. "Where did you go?" Oliver said. "Is he still here?" Lady asked. "Who is he?" Douglas asked Lady. "Diesel 10, Lady said. "Oh, Lady, he's been gone for weeks now," Donald said. "Oh," Lady said. "Now, to get on with the announcement," Duck said. "The Little Western Branchline is finally finished," Duck said. The engines cheered and whistled, and BoCo blew his horn. They were happy for their friends. "And me and Oliver gladly invite you to come tour the branchline," Duck said. All the engines agreed to Oliver and Duck's request, and the engines started to leave. The engine soon arrived at the junction between Thomas's branchline and Duck and Oliver's branchline. Now we'll take a group of you at a time to tour the branchline, Oliver said.
How many of us will be able to go through at one time? Donald asked.
About half of you at a time, Duck said. I'll take Thomas, Percy, Toby, Edward, and BoCo, Duck said. And me and Toad will take Holly, Lady, Austin, Donald, and Douglas, Oliver said. So Duck headed off. Oliver, Toad, Holly, Lady, Austin, Donald, and Douglas move themselves off the main branch line and onto Thomas's branch line to wait for Duck, Thomas, Percy, Toby, Edward, and BoCo to come back. First, the engines headed up a big suspension bridge. What a beautiful sight, Edward said as they crossed the bridge. Then the engines headed off of the bridge and round the curve. Then they stopped at a station. Now this is Arlesburg Station, Duck said. Very nice, Toby said. The platform is nice and flat, Thomas said. Then they headed away from the station. Then they headed into a forest area. And then through a tunnel. They soon stopped at another station. Now this is Arlesdale Station, Duck said. It's small, but it's nice, BoCo said. The scenery out here looks amazing, Edward said. Thank you, Duck said. Then the engines headed away from the station. Went down the line some more. And arrived at another station. Now this is Upper Tidmouth Station, Duck said. It looks nice, Percy said. It looks just like Farquhar Station on Thomas's branch line, Percy said. Yes, Percy. This station is the exact replica of Thomas's station, or Farquhar, Duck said. But it's on my branch line. So Farquhar isn't on Thomas's branch line? Percy said. No, Farquhar is still there, Duck said. This is just a rebuild of it, Duck said, but on my branch line. Oh, Percy said. Then they headed off back to the junction. Duck, Thomas, Percy, Toby, Edward, and BoCo soon arrived back at the junction. You can take the other engines now, Duck said. All right, Oliver said. Then Oliver, Toad, Holly, Lady, Austin, Donald, and Douglas
headed on to Duck's and Oliver's branchline. Soon the engines started over the bridge.
What a wonderful sight, Holly said. Indeed, Lady said.
Soon the engines headed off of the bridge. The engines soon headed in to a station.
Now this is Orlesburg Station, Oliver said.
Oh, it looks like some of the stations back in Scotland, Donald said. Oh, aye. Small but beautiful, Douglas said. Then they left the station.
And then into part of the forest.
And then through a tunnel.
Soon they arrived at another station.
Now this is Arlesdale Station, Oliver said. Isn't this the first station that was built? Donald asked. Oh, aye. I remember bringing some trucks down here to the station when it was first built, Douglas said.
Yes, it was indeed the first station that was built, Oliver said.
Then the engines left the station.
Then the engines went down the line somewhere.
Then they arrived at another station.
Now this is Upper Tidmouth Station, Oliver said.
It looks nice, Austin said.
Thank you, Oliver said.
Then the engines headed off back to the junction to meet the other engines. Then they arrived back at the junction. Thank you for taking us on this tour today, Donald said.
Yes, thank you, Edward said.
It was really fun, Percy said. Thank you, said Duck.
It was a pleasure, Oliver said.
Congratulations, all the engines said. Then Oliver and Duck moved out of the way so the engines could get back to doing their normal jobs.
Oh, finally, Duck said.
It's finished, Oliver said.